Is this on now? Yeah. And thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. Thank you, everybody, for being here early morning, but I really, really appreciate that. Um, I got an award yesterday for that, and this is my baby. This is something that I'm really, really, really passionate about. So I'm really glad that so many of you are here. Now I have too many things in my hand. Just a few words about myself. Mona Abdulrahim-Santl. So my background is a little bit mixed. I'm half Lebanese, half German. I lived in many, many countries, Europe, Saudi Arabia, here, Germany, Lebanon. So what this taught me is that each person is different, each culture is different, and we need to understand people better. I started with psychology, pure psychology, then psychotherapy. And then very, very early on, I moved away from psychotherapy because I thought I don't want to diagnose people. I want them to really get the answers from within. And that's how I discovered hypnotherapy. This was back in 2005. And a couple of years later, I became a hypnotherapy instructor. And I'm loving it. I've been doing that since then. Results are faster. Now, why HypnoRise? In 2010, I was also an instructor for NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Many of you are shaking their heads, so I guess you know what I'm talking about. It's about communication and how to interact with people, etc. And this is something that every corporation needs, every organization needs. I took all of that into corporate and started my training company for corporate training, for leadership training. This was about 2008. Now, here's what I discover a lot of times. And I want to start with a question to you. So, when we talk about leadership training, what do you think is the most challenging part of a leader? What do you think a leader's challenges are? Yeah. Thank you. Limiting beliefs, yeah. Imposter syndrome, maybe. Yeah, our subconscious is telling us something that we cannot do. And I want to start with a story. A story that happened about 10 years ago. I had a company which I trained. A very confident, actually. He appeared to be very confident man, CEO of a mid-sized company. He came to me for team building training. We trained the team. It was a really, really good session. After that, he wanted leadership training. So we did a modular program. We trained the entire management level. And everything was fine. And it seemed like this mid-sized company was blooming. And then he came to my office. At that time, I had an office still in Lebanon. He came to me and he said, Mona, I have a huge opportunity in Japan. Huge opportunity. There we go, Japan, yeah. And I have to present in front of a whole board, a whole room full of Japanese, and I'm terrified. So, turns out he had a fear of public speaking. Now, the thing is that fear of public speaking is something that many, 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 many people have. Yeah? And you can be an excellent leader. You can form an excellent organization and all of what he did. But still, there was something inside of him that was holding him back. And that's where I thought, you know what, we really, really need to bring that together. We did a hypnosis session with him. And by the way, just let me clarify, because before I'm speaking about hypnosis here, and who of you thinks hypnosis is unconscious sleep? Huh? Who of you is afraid when I say I'm a hypnotist? Sometimes When I travel and I'm at the border in the US and they ask me, what are you here for? I say, for conference. And then they say, what conference? I say, hypnosis conference. Ooh, don't look me in the eye. It's the first reaction like, whoa, what are you doing to me? Well, that's not it, because guess what? I'm not going to hypnotize you right now, or maybe I am without you knowing, but hypnosis is not what we see in movies. It's not really that dangling of whatever it is in front of you to make you sleep and make you do things that you don't want to do. It's really just working with the subconscious, not with the conscious. Now, here's the thing. The conscious mind is our logical mind. The conscious mind is the mind that says, I want to go up there or fly to Japan and sit there in the board and speak. The subconscious mind is the world of imagination and emotions. So when we say we work with the subconscious, we work with a mind that is not in the real space, but is imagining something bad that might happen. And that imagination is so powerful that it overtakes your daily activities and life. Does that make sense? So we use exactly that same power that makes you believe that, ooh, something's going to happen to me on stage. We use that same power of imagination to imagine that you just go up and sit in that boardroom and talk to them. Yeah. And that can be applicable for any fear, for any behavior that we have. So this is what I did with this man. He came in and we sat and I started a session. And the thing is that our beliefs most of the time start in the first, let's say, 5 years of our lives. That's where we shape most of what we believe about life, about ourselves, habits that we form and learn from people around us, from experiences that we had. Because as a small child, I don't have that conscious mind that can say, do I want to accept that belief or do I want to reject it? Do I want to accept that I'm not good enough or others are better? Or do I want to reject it and say, no, I can do it? See, as a small child, we don't have that capability. And that's why these beliefs are formed. So what happened to that man? You did what we call in hypnosis a regression, and that means really going back and seeing what happened in your childhood. Well, here's the story. He remembered a scene from a school bus. He was 5 years old. He sat on the school bus in the back row with his friends. And there was a girl he liked. She was sitting in front. I mean, at 5 years old, it's a very, very, very pure and naive love. But he said to his friends, I really like her. And guess what? They started laughing. They started laughing, and he sat there and felt bad, felt embarrassed. And this was the moment where his subconscious mind learned, if I speak my truth in public, people will laugh at me. That small moment on a school bus as a 5-year-old determined his fear of public speaking or sitting in a boardroom. Yeah? This is how simple sometimes our mind connects things. We then move on, when we do that regression work, into informing that young child with the informed, logical, and rational mind that we have today. Saying, okay, then at 5 years old, I thought that if I spoke my truth, in front of people, they would laugh at me. But today I know that this is not true. So we change the perception. We change the story. We transform stories in our mind. Because guess what? Your mind functions more according to the stories you tell it than according to actual reality. Yeah? So when I say leadership training, it's not about learning skills. When I do corporate leadership training, yes, of course, we teach frameworks, we go through exercises, etc. But the real challenge lies beneath. So I'd like you actually to just think about something, a situation where you reacted without thinking. And usually, when either a stressful situation occurs or we have a time pressure or someone irritates us, again, that's stressful situation, we react instead of responding the way we actually want to respond. So think of a situation where you recently just responded in a way that surprised you, or maybe a way that didn't surprise you because you often react this way. What emotion drove that? Just take a moment to reflect. Is there anything that comes up, or anyone who wants to share? You don't have to. Yes, go ahead. Fear. Thank you for sharing. Okay. And is that situation something that you recognize that happens maybe often? Yes, you're nodding. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Gratitude. Okay. Again, think about, is that something that occurs often that you keep repeating? Gratitude. Okay. I heard excellence over there. Yeah. Excellence. Again, is that something that you recognize? Is it a pattern that you recognize? Okay. You always want to excel. Right. Thank you all for sharing. So we can recognize patterns that we always go back to. Yeah. These are habits, these are patterns, and these are automatic reflex responses that we have. And why do we do them? Because at some point in your life, probably in your early childhood, you learned that this gratitude, excellence, fear, whatever it is, actually serves you. Yeah. Now, although we say fear doesn't serve, but again, the story that I said earlier of the man on the bus, or the boy on the bus, shows that in that moment it's a lesson, right? So it serves us. So this is actually what we just did, was basically the first part of the framework that I call RISE. So HypnoRise is really about going deep before you can rise. Yeah. And I used the word RISE to really frame that framework, coin that framework. And the first thing is really recognizing, and we'll go back to that a little bit later. So I was talking about this conscious and the subconscious mind, and the thing is really that we are driven by our, here it is. Yeah. So we're driven actually by our subconscious mind and not the conscious. Yeah. We think we are logical human beings. We think that we can rationalize our actions, but we don't. Yeah. When it comes to doing something fast, when it comes to a situation where I need to react, it's always your subconscious driving you. So this is exactly why HypnoRise, why I founded HypnoRise, why I did that. This is very recent, by the way. Yeah, it was so this year when I put both together. I was debating it for a long, long time. But in many, many countries, there are a lot of misconceptions about hypnosis and what it is. Just like you had at the beginning, and you thought, okay, maybe I will bring that pendulum and do something to you. And many people think that, and especially in this region, it's not very easy to bring it in to the world. However, I am deliberately using that word now because I also want to educate people in a way to say it's nothing to be afraid of. It's really just working with your subconscious. The subconscious is 95% of your mind. So why are we afraid of it? Why are we stepping away from it? Why do we think that we can do everything with our brain and our logic, because we can't. So I deliberately want to bring that back in and say, let's work more with that mind of us that actually will help us grow, will help us succeed, will help us rise. Yeah? So HypnoRise is really not just meditation or a hype or anything like that. It's really going deep. It's reprogramming these narratives that you have, reprogramming these stories that you learned at some point, and making an informed and conscious choice to change these unconscious programs. You actually don't need a hypnotherapist for that. You can do that alone. Yeah? Sometimes it is easier to have someone guide you, someone help you, but you can actually even do it alone. Yeah? So, HypnoRise actually exists to work where the change actually happens, and the change does not happen in our conscious mind. And think about it. How many times do we have any people who smoke in here? Some of you? Okay. Anyone who wanted to stop smoking and never succeeded? Or, okay, yeah. So, any other habit. It doesn't need to be smoking. Eating chocolate. I don't know. I love chocolate. Yeah, okay, here we go, right? Or I want to sleep, but I cannot sleep. Or I want to start working on time, but I procrastinate. Whatever it is, we have so many habits. We want to do something, but we can't. Or we want to stop something, but we can't. Yeah? Why? Again, because it is your subconscious driving you. So the change has to happen there and not in the conscious mind. The change cannot happen in leadership training sessions where I say, now you learn how to lead your team. Now you learn how to listen to your team. Now you learn how to give feedback to your team. Now you learn how to strategize. All of these are good and important, and we need them. But we need to have the ability to do it from the inside out. So the RISE framework that I was talking about earlier is really just 4 steps, and I just put it down so that we actually know what we're doing. The first step is really to recognize. So it's recognize, integrate, shift, and elevate. And the recognize is actually really just what you did earlier, recognizing what is that story that I'm telling myself. What is that script that is deep inside of me that I want to overcome? What is that habit maybe or pattern that I keep recognizing and I don't like it, and it's stopping me from maybe managing or leading my team effectively? Maybe it is also preventing me from communicating or interacting with my family effectively. That's not only for work. That's for everybody, for life. Yeah. So really recognizing these patterns like you did before. And by the way, I did mention for whoever saw me yesterday when I got my award, I said, if nothing goes wrong, my book will be out today on Amazon. I don't have the link yet. And I wanted to actually give it to all of you. So I'm saying that now, everybody who's here in the room, or everybody who's actually in the conference, I'd be glad to just send you that link and send you that book with maybe a digital signature from me. It's probably gonna be tonight or tomorrow, just with a slight delay. But you know what? So be it. But in that book, you'll have a lot of reflective questions. You'll have a lot of opportunities to think about what actually shaped me in my childhood. It could be your parents, could be your teachers at school or friends, but also just the culture that you grew up in, the community that you grew up in. So all of that actually shapes us. And sometimes we think, you know what, I know this, I behave in a normal way, but maybe it's normal for you, but not normal for others. Yeah. So recognizing these and then going into really integrating them. Yeah. The thing is that when we are in a stressful situation, we go into what we call the fight or flight response. When we are in a fight or flight response, what actually happens? And I'm going to explain it in a very easy way. So if we imagine decades, centuries ago, imagine your ancestors, and you were one of them who were still living in the jungles or in the deserts or in the caves. Caveman, exactly, right? And a lion came to attack you. Boom! What did you do? Run, or fight, right? So we know that term fight or flight. But here's what actually happens biologically. When I go into in that mode, fight or flight mode, my body is a perfectly designed system. Yeah. And it's perfectly coordinated. So all the strength that I actually need for that survival moment, because that lion is in front of me, all of that strength will go into the muscles that I need to flee or to fight, which are my muscles of my legs and my arms. And all the other systems will be deprived of oxygenated blood and of strength, like digestive system, etc. But what I want to get to is that part of our brain, that frontal cortex, that part of our brain that is actually supposed to now think rationally and strategize and say, okay, what's the best strategy now, does not work. And that makes sense. It makes sense from a perspective of when you're standing in front of that lion, you cannot start thinking what is the best way to flee, right? So you have to just react. And when we are in stressful situations, and I'm sure you all remember times at university or school when you had studied and everything is really easy, you know your material. You go and sit in the exam, and what happens? Boom, blank, right? Everything is out of the, yeah. And then I finish the exam, I go out of the room, and suddenly, now I remember everything. Why didn't I know this in there? And that's exactly because that part is just blocked so that you can react and not respond logically. Yeah. So in order to do that, we need to really go deep. We need to breathe. We need to stay calm. We need to allow our minds to think rationally and not allow the subconscious to take over and just react in a fight or flight mode. The recognition that we had with the R is now integrating it. And integrating it means starting to use it in a different form. So I told you at the beginning, I moved to a lot of countries. I moved from Lebanon to, I moved from Dubai actually to Finland. And I lived in Finland for 3 years. Do we have anyone from Finland in this room? No. Guess, I lived there for 3 years. Guess how many times I was invited to dinner in 3 years? You say 0? Another guess? Once? Give them a little bit more credit. Once a year. 3 times in 3 years, right? So I had to first recognize that my way of going to them and overwhelming them, because I went there and I invited the whole neighborhood and I made that Lebanese big dinner. This was overwhelming for them. So I had to first shift my mindset. And it's not about changing who I am. I'm still who I am. I'm just changing the way I speak to them, the way I interact with them. Many times in leadership, we think, or in work, we think we know what we're doing and we want to explain it to others. But here's the thing. If they don't understand it, ich könnte mit euch Deutsch sprechen, so viel ich möchte. Ihr würdet nichts verstehen, außer jemand, der vielleicht Deutsch spricht hier drin. Was würdet ihr machen? Was würdet ihr antworten? Was würdet ihr sagen? I see a lot of blank faces. This is a very, very small example of miscommunication at work. This is a very small example of people thinking, well, I'm telling you everything. I know everything. Why are you not replying? Because we're speaking a different language. So first of all, it's really recognizing what language am I speaking? But language can be a language, can be also a personality style, can be also a technical language, can be also a gender language, can be also a cultural difference or an age difference. I speak differently to children than I speak to adults. So I need to first recognize what are my actions? What are my patterns? How do I actually communicate and interact and then integrate them? I'm going to go a little bit faster here because I am aware of time. Then after we integrate it, it's that shift where we say, okay, now let's go deep and let's reconsider. By the way, again, in my book, I have a QR code where you have some hypnotic recordings. And again, I hope that by now you know that a hypnotic recording is not go to sleep and do something scary, but is really just changing these inner dialogues that you have with yourself. And then basically at the end, elevate and soar like a falcon, because that falcon soars now without being tethered, without being pulled down by limiting beliefs that they had. So elevation is not becoming louder, faster, or more aggressive. It's really leading from a calmer inner state of mind that we have done through this work. So it's really that consistency of really going deep, understanding yourself that will shift. So this is the book that was supposed to be yours by now. Please connect with me. And I'm really, really happy. Just tell me you were here and I'll send you that book. So there is that whole RISE framework that we had in here. I have real client stories. The one that I told you at the beginning with the bus, but I have also other stories in there of beliefs that shaped people at work. I have a lot of reflective questions in there, so it's a really good workbook. And I have some QR codes that link to hypnotic recordings where I will guide you through that transformation that I was talking about. I am taking that into corporations now, and I have had a few meetings already with companies who said, we will try it. Maybe it will help. The return on investment that we see in after leadership trainings, and I am a trainer, so I'm not saying training doesn't work. It absolutely works, and we need to learn new methodologies, etc. But we also need to go deeper, because a lot of people after the trainings do say, "Ooh, okay, I know what to do, but there's something inside of me stopping me." So let's allow them through this program to actually go deeper into that world of hypnosis that is just that world of that vast iceberg that you saw, the 95% of the subconscious, in order to then rise above like that falcon and be free of these ties that were stopping them. This is my tree link. You can connect with me anytime. I'd love to. And any questions? Any questions? Yeah.
Hello. Yes, thanks for shifting our mindset. You made me reflect on a lot of things I thought I was not capable to ever solve, be it on a personal level, intimate level, business level, whatever. You gave me hope. I love that. So the question is, if we read your book and you said we can do it on our own, are there chances we might fail in doing that? Or do we need a helping hand like you to help us do that the first time, maybe until we train that muscle in our mind so that we can do it later on ourselves or not?
I love your question. Thank you. Can we fail on our own? We can never fail when we make that first step, because that first step is recognizing really that you want to make a change. And compare it to a child who is a 1-year-old who starts walking. How many times did you fall when you started walking? All of you. Yeah. But then we know, because there is a force inside of us that says, this is what I need to do. This is what is helping me. So I stand up again and I fall, and I stand and I fall, and I stand and I fall. And then one day I will do it. So yes, you can do everything on your own. Obviously, if someone guides you, if someone helps you, it is easier. Yeah. But the first step is really wanting to recognize that and saying, I'm changing, and not for the sake of changing. Nobody says you are not okay the way you are. It's just really untying yourself from something that has held you back in the past. Thank you for that question.
Mona ji, hi. Yeah, I'm here.
Where are you? Oh, there. Yeah.
Hi, Mona. I just wanted to ask you one thing, because I saw in your slide. Don't you feel that affirmations help in shifting subconscious mind? And one more statement was, doesn't meditation accelerate transformation?
Thank you for 2 questions. Affirmation, yes, 100%, because with repetition, we form new beliefs. And affirmation, I always say you are the best hypnotist for yourself, because you're talking to yourself all day long. So if you say to yourself, I can't do it, I can't do it, why am I so stupid? Why did I do it? This is an affirmation itself, a negative one. So positive affirmations absolutely can help. And yes, meditation can help. The reason I said it's not meditation at the beginning, because many people think, who don't know how to meditate, think they have to sit there and clear their minds and think of nothing. This is very, very hard to do. We in hypnosis want to think of something, because we know the power of our subconscious is the power of imagination. So work with your imagination, but create, again, these affirmations or these stories or just the visualization. I mean, just imagine something and you'll feel you're there. And it will create the emotions. So the slight difference here is that we want to work with visualizations and not just clear our mind of. But someone who is already used to meditation and who can go deeper, obviously that will also speed up the process. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
One more or?
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah, there's one more question.
Okay.
Hi.
Yes.
You know, your presentation deeply resonates with me, because I personally feel, especially in the corporate world, we focus on skills, but we don't dare to go deeper. The question which comes into my mind is, how do you feel, is the corporate world ready to go deeper? And what is your experience in a way that, you know, that's too deep. I don't want to go there. So I would like to have your opinion and your view here.
Thank you. And I wish I could tell you today, wow, they're accepting it. I wish I could say it's very easy. The last 10 years have shown me that it is like you say, the leadership, the corporate world is a world where we have to appear strong, where we are the leaders, where we are strong, where we don't want to touch our emotions and talk about them. However, I can say after, let's say about 10%, maybe 15% of the people who I train will call me not during the sessions, the training sessions, but afterwards and say, you know what? I really have that problem that I don't believe in myself, or I have low confidence, or I always, don't trust others, etc. Can you help me? So I have seen over the past 10 years that yes, the need is there. And what I'm doing right now is I want to bring that closer, because we are more and more going towards human-centered leadership. We're more and more addressing things that we did not address maybe 10 years ago in leadership training. We're addressing that human factor that that personal factor, that we're addressing emotions in trainings. We're talking a lot more about emotional intelligence now than we were talking 15, 20 years ago. So I think the time is now, and people are ready for it. They have to go there. They have to go there. Thank you.
I have one last question.
Sure.
So it's kind of a personal one, but it's like I have like 15 years of an experience working for different companies as a leader, right? While I was working for them, I was a very cool guy, as a cool leader, right? I was easy to approachable and then, right, to be friendly as well. So when I started my entrepreneurship journey, when I became a business owner, I was very aggressive, right? I want to control my emotions because I have very tight schedules, because I'm taking care of the finances, businesses, income and outcome, right? So I want to control that. I subconsciously, I want to like my previous version of it, but I could not able to become that.
Thank you for a very personal story, but it might be somewhere inside of you that, you know, you learned that as a leader or as someone who has a higher position now, I have to be aggressive, because isn't that what we saw sometimes in movies, you know, the boss who sits there and boom, and is more aggressive or is more stronger, and we maybe learn that this is the way to handle it. Or maybe we had an experience with our father who taught us this. It can be many, many things. And the thing is that there is no one size fits all here. Each person has his own patterns that were created from your own experiences. Yeah. But I'm happy to take that outside. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you being here this morning.